in the YouTube world and beyond. This is the Outlier B, and I'm right back about you cats with a whole nother video, my people. Whole nother video. And it feels like a long time since I last met up with you cats. And that is because if you see over here in New York, we got another huge snowstorm on Monday, my people. And this was definitely a big one, man. Definitely a big one. Out here in Nassau County, felt like we got about maybe 20 inches, 18, 19 inches. Other parts in Suffolk, further out east, they got a lot more snow than us. Other parts of New York, definitely upstate, I believe they got a lot more snow than us. But this one didn't really seem as crazy as the first one. It's wild because all the snow from the first storm that we had about a month ago was just beginning to come up because we got rain. But then we got hit with another big one, people, another big one. And because of that, I went outside and I snowed on Monday. Now, I'm a 45-year-old man. I'll be 46 in May. And let me tell you, man, it don't feel the same as it felt back in the day. Back in the day, when I was like 13, 14, man, me and my cousins used to go out in the neighborhood and ask the neighbors if they needed us to snow. And depending on that answer, we did, my people. We did. And we'll do a whole block, man. Honestly, we'll do a whole block. But now, at this age, man, I thought I still could do it. Went out there, shoveled, and guess what? It felt good on Monday. Tuesday night, last night, I laid down, and on my way to bed, I began to massage my back. And boy, oh boy, was my back hurting, man. Back hurting. Back was killing me. Back was killing me. So after work today, I think I'm gonna go to one of those little Asian salons. Not them ones y'all thinking about. Not them ones. But just a regular Asian salon that does nails and stuff like that. And I know they give like 60-minute massages for like $40, $50. I think I'm gonna go mess with that, man. Get my back massaged because it definitely does not feel good, my people. Now, before we get into the topics in which we're going to speak about today, and what we're going to speak about is, what's up? We got somebody on the check-in. Somebody said, Ramen H67. He put up that sign again. Was good. I forgot to screenshot it. Let me know what that mean, man. Let me know what that mean. And we got 6 people on the check-in. When you come in, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button if this is something that you're into. And what is this? I'm just a regular brother on his way to work every single day, speaking about things that's on his mind, man, you know? Thinking about things that's on his mind. And we're going to talk about some changes in which we are going to make. A couple weeks ago, somebody came on this channel and said there's a lot of self-righteousness, self-improved stuff. And you know what? That person was 100% correct. So we're going to expand some of these topics in which we speak about. Today, I want to speak about my boy Redman, the rapper Redman, and how he is a legend in this game. How you go through his catalogs, especially his first 3 albums, and that's every one of them was about 2 years apart. And I mean, a rapper who got 3 classics in 6 years. Then if you want to do his next one that dropped in '98 with what was the major hit off of that? FU, that joint. Then you could, I wouldn't put Funk Dr. Spock. I believe that was the name of the album. I wouldn't make that a classic, but it's up there. We'll get to that if we can. Somebody said, stay safe out there, brother. Shalom. All right, thank you, my brother. Somebody said, love is love, peoples. He said, love your homie. What up? Love y'all too, man. Love y'all too. And homie said, shalom. Shout out to my brother. Shalom to you. Hotep, my brother. Shalom, Hotep. Godspeed, all of that. You feel me? Shout out, yo. Shout out. Yeah. So we're going to get into it. Also, I'm going to tell y'all why I am cutting out the section when I talk about work. Because I'm going to mention I'm not even gonna mention their names, just some of the things that they do, and I'm gonna let you know why we're not talking about work anymore. And then last but not least, we're gonna try to get into that case about JonBenét Ramsey. JonBenét Ramsey. Any of y'all remember her? A little girl who something crazy happened to. I'm not gonna say what happened to her, but y'all know if you follow the case. And we're gonna speak about some of the evidence because I started watching that show. I started watching that show on Netflix that say who killed JonBenét Ramsey, and it kind of gave me a little bit of a different way of thinking about the case than what I was looking at on YouTube, my people, than what I was looking at on YouTube. So we are most definitely gonna speak about that. So let's get it started. Y'all know me, I do my 10%. The diabetes is good, pancreatitis is good, my stomach is not bothering me, which are excellent things. I told you guys on Monday, we got a whole bunch of snow. Look at this, man. Look at all this snow. Right when it was all coming up, we got a whole bunch of snow again. So I went out there, shoveled, and now my back is hurting. And again, we're gonna head over to one of those little Asian salons. Not what y'all thinking, man. Get your heads out the gutter. It ain't what you're thinking. Just one of them spots that's on the up and up. You feel me? We're gonna go over there and get that back massage, man, because I definitely need it. And look, all this is ice, y'all. Look at that. All of this is ice, y'all. Craziness. In these streets of Freeport. In these streets of Freeport. Look at this. Nothing but black ice. Somebody gonna bust they natural booty up in here. Somebody gonna fall up in here. Oh snap, I'm about to get hit by a car. I'm talking about falling. Let me get out this street for y'all, man. Let's get out this street for y'all. All right. So, all right, we went over the health. Next thing I'm gonna talk about is work, man. I'm not gonna be mentioning work anymore, man. I'm not gonna be mentioning work, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because honestly, my company deals with a $500 million contract, a little bit over 500 million, right? And last week, I told you guys that we had a meeting with one of these companies that we deal with, and they're asking us basically for more money. And these are some serious people, man. You know, we deal with different companies. And one of the people that we deal with who own the company, homie ran for mayor in New York City a few years ago when Adams won. Straight up ran for mayor. So I gotta really be cognizant of some of the things that I speak about. Another person that I've dealt with, you know, I'm not gonna tell y'all his last name, but his first name is Ron. And I tell you that this cat is a heavyweight in the taxi business out here in New York. And what I mean is that, you know, they partner with Uber. So these guys are bigger than Uber in New York City. And again, these cats will have my head if I make mistakes. If I say too much, reveal too much, these cats will have my head. So I'm not even gonna be speaking about that type of stuff anymore. A big part of my personality is that I am into computers. I do a lot of computer science and I deal with contracts and things like that. So I'm just gonna have to find different examples, not real world examples, to show you guys the logic behind it. Because I do believe that in this world, if you are a systems thinker, then you can outthink certain situations, and also see large truths than someone would if they're not a systems thinker and they only look at the individual. I spoke about systems and individuals before. So if you're interested in my thoughts on that, you can definitely go back to a couple of the episodes in which we did in the past. And a little analogy would be like this. Systems thinking is seeing the forest for the trees. Some people would just see 2 or 3 trees and not realize that when you zoom out, you're actually seeing the forest, man. And you deal with the forest differently than you would deal with just one tree. You feel me? Somebody said FRL. What's that say? FRL. I don't know what that means. For real? Somebody said, yeah, yes, sir. So we got 6 people in the check-in. If y'all didn't hit that like button, if this is some of the stuff that you are into, if this is some of the stuff that you were into. And again, I'm just the regular brother that's walking to work telling y'all about his day-to-day life. So now we could get into that JonBenét Ramsey case, man. JonBenét Ramsey. And listen, been following this case for, a couple days. The first case that we got into was Adnan Syed. And I got a lot of my information on YouTube from the prosecutor's podcast, from a whole bunch of different places, man. And it broke that case down very, very, very good. Now, Adnan Syed, that was a huge case out there in B-More, man. Out there in B-More, man. And somebody says, yo, it means for real. Yeah, okay, for real, gotcha. Thank you. For real. So yeah, that was a huge, huge, huge case, man. And we're just gonna summarize it real quick before we get into the JonBenét Ramsey stuff. It was a little girl. I'm not called a little girl, teenage woman, girl. She was like 17, 18 years old. She had an ex-boyfriend, and the boyfriend went to jail for doing something to her. And they did a big, big, big podcast on that. And the people in the podcast gave us information to make it seem like Adnan was 100% innocent, and that somehow, I think it was undisclosed, and they was making it seem like the person who did it, which was this kid, Jay, who had a lot to do with it, they said, basically framed him. And I got into that case and realized that the prosecutors, I'm sorry, the undisclosed podcast and those people, they were not on the up and up, my people. So I was doing the same thing with the JonBenét Ramsey case. And some of you guys are young, so this case probably is before your time. But it was huge, huge, huge business back in about 95, 96, 97. And what happened was there was a little girl named JonBenét Ramsey, right? Her parents were kind of rich. Her father was into computers, and he had like a software company. And homie had a lot of money. So they lived in Boulder, Colorado. And on the night of Christmas, or the day after Christmas, right? What happened was that this little girl was taken, and they did something to her. And I'm not even gonna mention what they did to her. If you follow the case again, you would know. So the parents found a ransom note, or the mother found a ransom note on the bottom of the steps where she was coming downstairs. She read it, and the ransom note said that, again, they took her for ransom, and they mentioned a certain amount. I think it was like either $112,000 or $116,000. And they said, we are a fraction of some weird wording that they used, and they were saying who they were and that they have her. And that if they ever wanted to see her, they had to give them a certain amount of money. And that certain amount of money was the same exact money that the father received as a bonus. Now, think about that, my people. This dude worked a job, right? Worked a job. He was the owner of a software company. And homie's bonus back in 96, 97 was 112 or 116,000. Now, think about that, man. That's more than 90% of the population today. So in yesterday's time, it had to be like 200,000, 150, 160,000 if we counting for inflation. So that's the level that this dude was on. So imagine receiving that as just money that you received a bonus. Just imagine that. That's crazy. But that's the level that they were on. And JonBenét Ramsey, the little girl, she was a youngin', man, a young little girl. And they found her body in like a place in the house where you had to kind of live there to know exactly where that place was. And the father found her. Father found her. And it was crazy, man. Crazy because some of the stuff that they said they did to her body. I'm not even going to mention that again. I can't mention that type of stuff on YouTube. But if you guys want to get the gruesome details, which I don't even like speaking about, y'all can definitely follow your case even further. So I was watching a whole bunch of YouTube videos, right? And YouTube is crazy, man. YouTube is crazy because what YouTube really is, that's just only giving their interpretation of some things. A lot of these guys aren't trained. A lot of these guys aren't journalists. A lot of these guys are giving you their one-sided opinion. You know, it's hard to find people who present the facts in a way that is unbiased. And YouTube sometimes can be very sensationalized. And what I mean is that you got people out here trying to make a name for themselves. And they do this, and it's just no regard for the actual people, who was involved. So just step back, man. Step back for a second and imagine you being a parent, right? If some of you guys are parents, and I don't even want to put this inside of your head, but just imagine the same thing happening to your daughter, right? And then you got people online misrepresenting the facts just to get viewers. You know, you hear some people say the brother did it. You hear people saying the mother did it. You hear people saying the father did it. But some of these things are very, very, very biased. And when I turned on that Netflix documentary, I saw that. I saw that a lot of the evidence that I was getting from these YouTube guys, they weren't true. They weren't true. So I mentioned certain evidence, right? So the first evidence I mentioned last week, and this is before I saw the JonBenét Ramsey. And again, we're gonna take caution with this stuff. We're gonna take caution because just like YouTube, Netflix, and documentaries can be the same exact way, where they're just presenting you one side. So I most definitely have to do more research and come to my own conclusions. But one of the main things that I heard was that the handwriting of the ransom note. A lot of people say that the handwriting of the ransom note excluded the father, they excluded the father, and they excluded the brother. And some of the places I've read, they said they couldn't conclusively exclude Patsy, the mother, who passed away. God rest her soul. You know, she had, believe she had cancer and she passed away. But God rest her soul. And they say that they couldn't rule out her handwriting. The Netflix documentary that I read did rule her out. They said she didn't match the handwriting. Another big clue in the case that I was using was that the fact that the ransom note was actually written with a pen from the house. And the YouTubers that I watched, they say that basically it was the mother's pen and that it was also her stationery. And these facts are true. They are true. So a natural, logical person would think that, okay, it was used in her stationery, from stationery in her house. Also, the note had basically a do-over. So the first note had a situation where they started scratching stuff off, and then they changed it and wrote a whole second note, yo. And they were saying that the person must have been in the house for a while writing this note. And when you look at that, they say that evidence points to the fact that, okay, it had to be somebody comfortable in the house. Had to be somebody comfortable in the house. Somebody said, I'm back. My thing was lagging. Said, hi, all right, you back, baby. Thank you for checking in. Thank you for checking in. You're back. Yeah. So they were saying that the person who wrote the note must have been comfortable inside of the house, because when you look at it, they started, stopped. They said it didn't seem like real rushed. And they said the person must have been in the house for a minute. Now, to counteract that, I looked at the Netflix documentary, and the parents said that on Christmas, they went to a Christmas party. And they said that the intruder, or whoever did it, must have been in the house while they left. Now, think about that, son. Think about that, man. Think about that. When I was a kid, that was one of the things that always made me wonder. Just imagine you in your house and you just going about your business, right? And you don't know, and your house is big, and you don't know who somebody else is in your house, like an intruder. So they said the intruder probably broke into the house while they was there and was hiding, kid, hiding. And they came back the next day. They put the kids to bed, and they also went to bed. And they said that the intruder basically could have written the letter while they wasn't there, while they was out, took the stationery, wrote the letter, had time to write the letter, and then just waited in the house and waited for them to come home, waited for them to put the kid to bed. And then after that, that's when they had the time to do what they claim, what we saw happen to her. And that's scary stuff, man. That's real, real, real scary stuff, you know? Because it makes you think about people being in your crib and stuff, man. That's real scary again. Real, real, real scary stuff. And That would explain the ransom note and also the time that they had in the house. Next, they were speaking about on YouTube, they basically made it seem like there was no evidence of an intruder ever coming through the house, never coming through the house. But the Netflix documentary, again, the Netflix documentary said that that's not true. They said that they found like a little basement window where somebody could have pulled something up and got into the house like it was nothing. Like it was nothing. So again, that refuted what I was seeing on YouTube, But we'll get more into the case. I'm going to cut it here. We're going to get more into the case tomorrow after I watch more of the documentary. I did not finish it. And we're just going to go back and forth with the evidence and let you guys decide. Again, I'll do more research on it to speak about it. We didn't get into that Redman stuff, but hopefully we could get into it tomorrow morning. The fragrance of the day is Aqua Univalis Cologne. Aqua Univalis Cologne. That is one from my boy MFK. Fresh fragrance. This is going to be a change that I make to the show where we're going to speak about fragrances every week. And I'm just going to wear one fragrance every, for the whole week. And I'm going to give you guys how I feel about it each day from day to day. And my first impressions is that I really like it. It's a light fragrance. I'm not a heavy sprayer. When I leave the house, probably give myself 3 sprays, 2 under my, my post points. Then I go to work. And then at work, I put 1 spray behind my back, So I do about 4 or 5 sprays throughout the day. And, I ain't going to be projecting like crazy. So don't expect that type of stuff from me. I'm a more subtle person. Somebody who, if I give you a hug or I walk by you very, very closely, you're going to be like, oh, wow, the outlier smells real good. That's how I rock, That's definitely how I rock. So we're going to get into that tomorrow. That's what we're going to do throughout the week. Also, I'm going to start clipping some of these episodes, putting visuals behind them. And also, I have a podcast out there on Spotify. You guys going to have to check that out because I'm going to be clipping these things. Also putting in a lot of music, so that you guys can really experience this the way I want you to experience it. Yes, sir. So somebody said, cuz I got school. All right, we're going to catch you later, man. Peace out. Have a good day in school, man. Keep your mind in those books, man. You are the future. You are the future of this country, man. You are the future of this country. But we up out here. Thank you, cats, for listening. Thank you, cats, for watching. And I'll catch y'all tomorrow. Yeah.